It's Tuesday, January 26th. Dedicating this video to my brother Jim. He died yesterday, 50 years old. It was really unexpected. He was getting ready to go lay out all his things to go to work back in Georgia the night before, and he lived with his son, and he went to wake him up, and he didn't wake up. Guess he had an enlarged heart and had a heart attack. So I'll tell you a little bit about my feelings, what I believe, and I'm not saying this to try to convince other people to believe the way I believe, so please don't leave comments saying I'm wrong in my beliefs or on and on and on. I really wouldn't appreciate that. That's not the purpose of this, but just want to let you know, if anybody cares one way or the other, how I'm feeling at the moment. So I'm going to the San Gabriel. I'm kind of the type, I gotta be by myself when things like this happen. I wasn't by myself yesterday. I was talking to people on the phone all day long and doing the Facebook thing and all that. But you know, every time it's brought up, somebody wants to know what happened, it just makes it hurt more. So I just need a day by myself. So I'm not particularly going up to the San Gabriel to find gold. I might do that if I do. If I find some, fine, but it doesn't really matter. Just going up there to have some peace, see some pretty scenery, and get my thoughts together. Anyway, what I believe is I'm thoroughly convinced that what the Bible says is true and accurate. I know not everybody feels that way these days. They think it's old-fashioned and all that, but I've studied it for years and years, went to all kinds of different religions, Eastern religions, meditation, you name it, and I'm convinced that the Bible is true. So I try to base my life, my decisions on that. Being imperfect, every day I mess up somehow, but that's what I try to do. So the Bible talks about when you lose a loved one to not grieve on as the rest of them do who are without hope. So you're going to grieve. It doesn't say you're not going to grieve. You've lost someone. The Bible says death is an enemy. It's not natural. We were made to live forever, was the original plan. And just like God put a conscience in all humans, He also put what the Bible says, the idea of time indefinite, into humans' psyches, you might say. So we're born with a conscience, and we're born with the idea that we should live forever. But being imperfect, we don't. Our bodies wear out and we die. But it's still not natural. You're still going to grieve. But we don't go on and on and on grieving. I don't believe that Jim's watching down for me somewhere. I believe what the Bible says: when you're dead, you're dead. Ecclesiastes 9, 5, and 10 says, you know, the dead are conscious of nothing. They can't do anything. They can't think. They can't be tortured. You know, people say, well, yeah, but you got an immortal soul. There is not one place in the Bible where it says there is an immortal soul. It says, let's see if I can remember this. Ezekiel 18:4 says that the soul dies. And then there's many places it talks about the soul. The soul is just you. You're a soul. It says animals are souls. We're all souls. The spirit in you is the life force from God. You take that life force, you combine it with oxygen, and you're alive. That's what it is. Simple as that. When you're dead, your body just goes back to the ground. You're in God's memory. Jesus called it the memorial tombs. So when you're dead, God can remember every facet of you and to resurrect you again someday. Well, I believe we're living in the time when very close when we're going to see a resurrection of billions and billions of people to the earth. The Bible says in Acts 24:15, there's going to be a resurrection of the righteous and the unrighteous. The righteous being those who are already, you know, they're imperfect, they're blowing it, but they know God. They already know about Him, and they're trying to do their best. The unrighteous are the countless billions of people down through history who never really had an opportunity to get to know God, maybe never saw a Bible, never heard of Jesus. So those people are going to be coming back, not to heaven, that wouldn't make any sense, but to the earth. to see what they want to do under perfect conditions, under a righteous government ruled by Christ Jesus, where everybody there is trying to do the right thing. There's no false religion. There's no corrupt governments. Everything is ruled by Jesus, and we're all getting the blessings from God and all going forward to reach perfection and perfect bodies and minds during 1,000-year rule. So I believe we're living in what they call the time of the end, the last days, the conclusion of a system of things. That's when Jesus will take action to rid the world of all the wickedness and corruption, and he'll take over. I think we're right at the tail end of this thing. And after that, when we go on to that new world that the Bible calls it, new earth, whatever you want to call it, we're going to see, I'll see Jim. I don't know if I'll live through this whole thing. I might have to die first and be resurrected too. But if I live through it, I'll look forward to see Jim. I'm sorry, my emotions kind of got the best of me. I had to stop recording for a little while here. So I'll try to finish my conversation. Again, I hope you don't think I'm preaching to you. I'm just trying to give you an idea why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So Jim and myself, we both believed there's going to be what Jesus called a paradise earth. David said in Psalms 37, 10 and 11 and 29, he talked about the mild-tempered or the meek inheriting the earth, the wicked being gone, and God decides who's wicked, we don't. But just good people there. 2 Peter chapter 3 talks about a time when, there would be righteousness on the earth. I know many people, and I was taught this when I was young, many people feel that all good people go to heaven and all bad people burn. But believe me, the Bible doesn't say that. That's just traditions handed down for the last couple thousand years, got mixed up with the Christianity, just like traditions got mixed up with Judaism by the time Jesus came on the scene, and he had to try to straighten them out. It's the same thing today. Things are all infused that are wrong. So basically, what I believe and Jim believed was that, according to Revelation, a small group of people would go to heaven to be rulers, and it says they're going to be ruling over the earth. So you've got to have somebody down here to be ruled over. That's why Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5 that the meek shall inherit the earth. So the meek or mild-tempered ones, those that listen to God, are trying their best, are going to be down here forever, not just for a few years and then they go off to some other planet or go up to heaven. If you think about it, Adam and Eve, what was the original plan? To live here, to have children, and stay here forever in a paradise. Never any reward of going somewhere else. So those that do go to heaven, a small amount, selected down through history by God, all different types of people that have gone through everything that we've all gone through, they'll be up there ruling over the billions, countless billions of people that will be resurrected to this earth, and those that survived the Great Tribulation. So that's what Jim believed and I believe. And so I know I'm going to see him shortly. I know we're at the end of this thing. I'm not saying I'm going to see him next year or 10 years from now. I don't know when, but it'll be shortly. So I just got to keep the memories of him alive. In the meantime, I'm sorry. Maybe you can understand now, this is why I got to get away from people, but talking about it gets me emotional. Even talking about it to myself gets me emotional. So that's what we believe. Again, please don't comment about I'm wrong in my beliefs. I don't care what you believe. Studied the Bible for many, many years. Not saying I have all the answers, but I know this is a sure hope. I know it's going to happen. I'm positive. And that's what I look forward to. I mean, what better hope is there? Somebody say, oh, well, yeah, you're living in a fantasy world. Well, if I am, it's a pretty good world, so I'm going to stay there. So anyway, that's where I'm going to go up to San Gabriel. Like I say, I was looking at a old video from 2013, September or something, 2013. Jim was in it. And when we were all at San Gabriel, all my brothers except for my brother Rob, I think, was in that one. He's the youngest. There's 8 kids in our family, or there were. Now there's 7. There were 5 boys and 3 girls. I'm the oldest. It goes down to my brother Rob, and then the 3 girls are mixed in there. And most of my brothers, one time or another, we all went prospecting together. Jim probably about the least, just because a lot of times he was just tied up working somewhere and couldn't do it when we were planning on going. So, but anyway, we had a good time when Jim was with us. He went out. He's been out to the Sleepy Bear Mine. We used to go out there years before it became popular. Knew the owner there, Joe, and we. I think Jim came out to one of the events, but I can't find the video where that happened. I could be wrong. Maybe he wasn't there, but I've seen. We went up to the Mother Lode together. I don't have a video of that. Just have pictures. He went up to Randsburg to Acclaim up there with us, and anyway, we had good times. He really loved the ocean. You know, we'd all go to the beach together, and yeah, he just loved the ocean, loved body surfing and that, and he especially loved music. He well, let me see, I'll go back a year. He used to always talk about Echo and the Bunnymen. Echo and the Bunnymen, that was one of his favorites. And I remember he went to see him one time. I think he got to meet a couple of them years ago when they were popular. He loved Coldplay. I like Coldplay too. I like Echo too. And he especially loved U2. I don't know how many U2 concerts we went to together, you know, over the years. He loved another group from Australia called The Church. We saw them countless times. Got to go up into the green room and all that, meet him. Let's see. I don't know. There's just so many groups. He liked the Decemberists. Another guy. He loved Morrissey before he got before Morrissey got so weird. He really loved him, his music. Another group of a strange, well, let's see, the Psychedelic Furs from the old days. We saw them many times, and different groups. Richard, the lead singer, Richard Butler, was in, and then saw him solo. Let's see. Tom McRae, he's not very well known, but we used to go down to the Hotel Cafe in Los Angeles, just a little when it was real, just a little intimate place, and see him and talk with him and everything. We used to have just the family had a band together. You know, we didn't play anywhere, just in the garage. But I don't. Everybody in my family is talented with musical abilities except for me. Jim knows how to play the drum. Randy Randy and Steve play the guitar. As far as the boys go, I'm talking about my sister Christine could play the piano. But anyway, so the boys would all get together. Rob could play the drums. He'd be there once in a while too. And Randy, he's really good at guitar, like I say, and Steve. So we get together. I can't play anything, so I used to write songs for different local groups, and so I started writing some more songs again, and for us, and they seemed to like the songs. So anyway, okay, I'll keep writing songs. And for some reason, they decided I needed to be the singer. My wife says I have the worst voice she's ever heard, but since they couldn't sing either, so I'd try to sing. Sounded terrible, but I'd try to sing and write the songs, and then they'd come up with the music, and we had a lot of fun. At that time, we were all working at San Onofre nuclear power plant. We were all painters. I was the first painter there, then got Jim on, and then pretty soon the rest of them came. So there's 5 brothers, 5 of us working there at one time. Even my wife worked there at one time for a while, and Jim's former wife worked there one time too. So anyway, so we get off work. If we had any energy left, sometimes we'd go into the garage and record. Now, how did we record? We had one little cheapo boom box we'd stick in the corner. No mics or anything, just that. And so everything is kind of directed towards this little cassette player boom box. So that's how we record things. And we made a disc of all our recordings, but I don't know where it is. I found one, but it was all scratched up. So hopefully I can find some kind of recording. I'd like to hear Jim wrote some songs too, 2 or 3 songs. My favorite was called Sahara Sun. And so anyway, that'd be fun to find those. Somebody on Facebook said, oh, you ought to put up your Family Feud thing. Yeah, we were on Family Feud, all 5 brothers, years ago. That was quite a deal. What happened, I'd probably only seen Family Feud like twice in my whole life. I didn't know anything about Family Feud. But my young daughter, Emily, would always go on. She loved Family Feud. Oh, Dad, you and your brothers ought to go on there. You'd be so funny and everything. You know, you ought to go. So I said, oh, okay. We'll go on it. We'll go down and audition, you know. So I don't even know how to play the game at this point. We just decided, let's go down for fun. If we win, fine. If we don't, who cares? You know, we'll just do it for fun. They probably won't pick us anyway. So somehow we got picked. You know, all kinds of people at the audition, we got picked. And the producer of the show came up and she says, you are the 5 most unique people we've ever had on this show. Now, I don't know by unique if she meant weird, oddball, probably. Maybe she was being kind. But anyway, I think what it was, we didn't care. So we're just joking around the whole time. You know, we weren't out there to win a bunch of money. We're all serious about it. We didn't really care, just for fun. So, okay, so we all go on the show. Well, what happens? The day before, one of my brothers, I think a tree limb fell on him. He's all bashed up in complete pain. Another brother had the flu. He's feeling terrible. And then you record if you're going to be on more than one show, you're recording them all on the exact same day. And I think we ended up being on 5 shows or something, 4 or 5 shows. So it's all on the same day. And the rest of us, all of a sudden, we all start getting the flu too. We're all getting sicker and sicker each show we're doing. But, you know, we're having a good time anyway. And we're driving the producers crazy. I think at that time, the host was that, I can't think of his name, was it Richard? Wait. What was it? Anyway, it was the guy that was the sidekick on Home Improvement show, a little chubby guy. He was the host at that time. And that was kind of funny. We're waiting to go on the show in the audience. He has his son there and he's playing cars in the aisleways and everything. It was kind of funny. So anyway, we go on the show and they're asking us questions. And we're making it, you know, through, and we get to the thing, the round where you do the, you know, the real fast questions. And so we had Jim do it every time. He said, I'll do it. So, okay, you do it. And we already said ahead of time, we're not going to be mad at anybody. If somebody gets something wrong, we lose. It's just for fun. We don't care. If we win some money, hey, that's even better. But so we already had that made on our minds. We're not going to blame anybody for anything. So Jim would get up there and he'd get so close, but then they asked him some question that it was just an area he knew nothing about. So he'd give a real crazy answer, you know. And so we actually, and then the other thing would happen in between when they're taking a break and all that, the producers would come up to us and said, you guys are killing us. You gotta start doing the high fives and all that. Well, we're not high fivers. Nothing against high fiving, but this is a few years ago, and it was really, really popular. Everybody has high fiving. We're so uncoordinated. If we tried to do a high five, we'd miss each other's hands. So anyway, we're feeling sicker and sicker. They want us to jump around and look enthusiastic and do high fives. And instead of doing that, we just kept joking around with each other, you know, really not paying attention to the show or to the producers. Then they'd stop it. You guys are killing us. You got to quit talking and do the high fives and, you know, yelling and all that. Okay, we'll try. Then they'd stop it again. Okay, you guys got to shut up. You know. So anyway, they had a hard time with us. We were just having a good time. So we finally, okay, so each time, I guess we went up 4 times or whatever it was, and we had come close to winning the big money, but never quite. And so the producers, one of the producers, a lady, came up to us and said, okay, you are definitely going to win this next one. Okay. Because I guess you got to figure we're doing it all in one day, but as far as the audience is concerning, they're watching every night, and these guys are losing every night. Every night they get close, but they don't win. They want to see a winner. So they were going to make it so easy a chimp could answer the questions. And what happens? So we figured, okay, I guess we'll go into the final round and we'll win the $20,000 or whatever it was then. I don't remember. Maybe it's $10,000. I don't know. So anyway, we get down to the last question before we're going to get into the final round, and it was, who would you consider somebody, let's see, what was the question? Something that you would consider somebody that had a job that was really a high profile, highly esteemed job. I can't remember exactly what the question was. Something, like this would be a great job. This would mean you're somebody if you had this job. Something people would look up to. Could be like in the entertainment business and all that. Well, at this point, we're so sick. I mean, we're just wiped out. Finally, Rob, my brother Rob, the youngest brother, has the last answer. And if he answers it right, we're going to this final round where we win the big money. And his answer was a librarian. A librarian, can you believe it? And I guess what it was, he had been talking to my niece earlier that day, and that's what she does. She's a librarian. He had that in the back of his brain, and his brain was so shot at this point. That's what came out. So all of a sudden, they said, oh, you lost. On to the next team. They get to do the 20 questions, And so what happened, we're sitting there watching, and they're asking him questions. What do bees make? Honey, stuff like that. These people came out of nowhere. They won all the money. So it was a pretty funny show, actually. But, yeah, I think I have a DVD of it somewhere. I don't know if I'm not that good at figuring out how to make the DV into showing some scenes on the internet, but maybe if we could come up with something, we'll put a little of that on there. It's pretty funny. Actually, I was thinking too, in our last round where we actually did do the questions, where you do a whole bunch of questions and one person does them. I guess it was a big discussion between whether Rob was going to do them instead of Jim. Rob said Rob really wanted to do it. But and then that's the way it was going to be. Then also at the last second, Jim goes, I know I can do it. Let me do it. So we let him do it. And again, we lost. We didn't really care. We were having a good time. Actually, Rob went on to go on a few years later to that, what's that show? There's that show where you look up and you try to figure out what the sentence is. I can't think of the name of it right now. Vanna White and all that, Turns the Blocks. Well, you know what I mean. So he went on to that and he won the big money, went all the way to the end. And gets to use that to help pay for his daughter's wedding. So anyway, so much for the game shows. We also used to, Jim and myself, we've been like background actors in a few movies. He liked doing that, so we'd head off I get the information, and they'd send me an email about it if we wanted to be in different ones. So I think the last one Jim and myself was in was one called Saving Mr. Banks a few years ago, whenever it came out. It was about the lady that wrote the story, Mary Poppins, and her life story. Had Tom Hanks. So we were just background actors in that. Just like when they doing an award ceremony, we'd be standing there waving and yay, all this thing. Then at the airport, they showed an airport scene where she's supposed to be arriving from England or Australia or somewhere, and they show us sitting on a bench. It happened so quick, you'd have to put it on pause to see us. And we were in some other ones together. Saw a little taco shop, decided to stop in. Turns out it was Taco Tuesday. I get $1 off. It's surprising how many things make me think of Jim. He loved Mexican food, and he loved a deal. He always had a stack of coupons for different, fast food places and all that. But our favorite place was in Menifee called the Carnitas Express. Years ago, we had a carpet cleaning business called Four Brothers Carpet Cleaning. And we had a special way we wanted a burrito, and they would make it the way we wanted it. We were actually the first customers they ever had, so they had a little, had a little in with them, and they called it Four Brothers Burrito. It was just this gigantic thing filled with meat and cheese, etc. And anyway, Jim loved it. He's always talking about the salsa, where you could get the best salsa all the time. So anyway, so this taco made me think of Jim again. It seems like everything does today. I know many of you watching this, if anybody is watching it, you didn't know Jim, so you're probably bored to death by now. But don't worry, we'll get to the San Gabriel eventually. Again, the freeway's a mess. I'm having to take all these back streets here in Corona just to get around the traffic, get back on the freeway pretty soon. But driving around, I thought of another story I kind of forgot about with Jim. Like I said, he loved U2, and years ago, U2 came up with an idea to have standing room only inside this thing they called the Heart. And so you'd stand there, but you'd be separated from everybody else, and you'd be right there at the stage. Well, they hadn't had general admission for years. General admission tickets. They hadn't, because they stopped that, because people had been different tragedies. People had been stomped to death, people panicking, fires and all that. So they stopped general admission. So U2 was bringing it back, kind of in a controlled environment. But people didn't realize that. Nobody wanted the general admission tickets. They were actually the cheapest. And so, being fans, we kind of had a little maybe insider's view of what was going to take place, that would be the best place to be, was right there inside this Heart. And so we went ahead and bought those tickets. Like I say, nobody wanted them. So we got there, and we were like, right there, right next to the stage. There's a bunch of celebrities in there with us. I think Bono's daughter was there, and his kids were there. What's her name? The lead singer, the girl from No Doubt, and her boyfriend, the real tall guy. I guess she ended up marrying him. They were standing next to us. Anyway, so that we had a good time right there next to the stage. Only a few people in there with us, and it was great. Well, so that all of a sudden people started catching on. So every time they come around now, that was the most desirable place to be now. And it was like impossible to get tickets to get in there. I think they even raffle them off or something, or you just get them by chance, if your number came up. So another time we went, and obviously we couldn't get there. So we're stuck way back. We're still in general admission, but we're standing way back behind the soundboard and all that stuff system. And at this time, I was going through chemotherapy, and it pretty much looked like I probably wasn't going to last much longer. So I went with Jim to see U2. And I went there for two reasons. I went to see U2, but I had this crazy idea. I wrote this song about what I was going through, experiencing, and I wanted somebody who knew how to sing well and could make some good music, add that to it. I thought, well, who better than U2? So I brought this letter. I was hoping to get to them somehow, explain my plight, and hoping maybe Bono would sing and to my words and the music, and I would guarantee him I wouldn't put it on the internet and all that. It'd just be for me and my family. So I wanted to get that letter to him somehow, and of course we wanted a good spot. So anyway, we're standing there, the show's going on. All of a sudden we see Paul McGinnis walk by us. Was their original manager till just a couple of years ago from the beginning. And I'm back on the freeway again, so I got to watch what I'm doing. So Jim goes up to him and says, "Hey, can you help us out? My brother, this might be his last U2 concert." Which was true. I could have been dead pretty soon. He may not make it. We really love U2. Is there any way we could get inside the Heart? And so you had to have a special wristband to do it. So he hands us 2 wristbands. Says, "Enjoy yourself." So we got there. We were standing right next to Adam Clayton, the bassist. Just like 2 feet from him. That was a great time. Then afterwards, I still have this letter I want to get to U2. There's this tent set up outside where all the celebrities are going to be in there. and U2 and all that after the concert, I guess. And so Jim goes up there, he takes my letter, and he gives it to their tour manager, who I think just died this few months ago. And he tells them the story, and he says, okay, I'll give it to U2. Well, we didn't know if they'd get it. Sometime later, I get a letter from U2 saying they hope I'd get better. But, they couldn't do it because of legal things and, constrictions and all that. But anyway, that was pretty good. And it was, and they all wished me well, all of you too. One thing Jim enjoyed a lot was sports. Now, especially football. He's always rooting for the Cowboys. I'm not good at any sports. I'm just terrible, not coordinated enough. But the one thing, so I never went to any games with him or anything, I don't think. But the one thing we could do that we both enjoyed, that actually for some reason I was better at, was body surfing. So we did that together, had a good time. Sometimes after we get off work at San Onofre, since we're right down there at the beach, we go down to a beach down there by Trussell's and go body surfing. And then since we worked at the plant, we had a pass to be able to go onto the Marine base, Camp Pendleton, so we'd go down to their private beach sometimes and have a good time. At this point, I don't even care if I make it to San Gabriel. I'm enjoying remembering these things about Jim. So, but, if I make it, I make it. One thing that we always joked about that was funny about Jim, joked in a loving way, was he was kind of clumsy. He was so big. He was a big guy. Like I've always been tall but skinny. Now I'm not so skinny, but he was always big guy like the Hulk, And so you get him in a room, something's going to get broken if he's in there very long, or spilled. I remember one time we were going to a concert in San Diego to see, I think, this group called Guster that we all liked, and on the way down there, I had just gotten a new car. It was some kind of a Kia, and it had cloth seats. Jim sitting in the back, and he always liked to get these super big drinks, which we all do. We got this super big coffee with sugar and cream and all that in them. It's only a few minutes into him drinking the coffee, and all of a sudden I hear, oh, sorry. I think we could probably clean it up. Give me some paper towels. So right away, this gigantic stayed on my back seat. I just got the car. That was there forever. It never did come out. But that was Jim. That was just Jim. We expected it. But he had so many good qualities. Very compassionate. I'm sorry, I know I probably sound like a wimp. I keep breaking down on this thing, but you gotta remember, I just found out about this yesterday. I got a call at 4 in the morning. So I was the first one out here to hear about it. He was back in Georgia. And so from that time on, all day, I had to call everybody and explain it. And so at the end of the day, I was pretty well drained. That's why I just felt I just had to get away. If I'm just driving down the road by myself, that's okay. And Kay, my wife, understood. She knows what I'm like. And she knows I'll come back today and tomorrow I'll be okay, Yeah, I kind of even broke down with my wife this morning right before I was getting ready to leave. I said, yeah. I said when we were out on the claim the other day. I was out there with Jim, or not Jim, but with my brothers Randy and Steve, and Jeff Williams stopped by to say hi on his way to another claim. And so, Jeff Williams, well, come on now, let's go, him. So I said, oh, here, I want you to meet another one of my brothers. I don't think you know him. too well. So I introduced Steve to him, and he said, well, how many brothers do you have, Larry? And so at that point, I could say I have 4 brothers, because there's 5, but now I've got to say I have 3 brothers. So it's kind of a, I've said the other for so many years now, it's going to be quite a change. I've actually been getting more emotional about Jim than I did when my mom died a couple of years ago. And I thought about that. I think here's the fact, the reason, and rather, my mother obviously was old, in her 80s, and she had been, not doing well for quite some time. So you kind of expected it, not that you wanted it, but you expected it. Jim, he's like the big ox. Had no idea that something like this is going to happen to him at 50 years old. So it was a shock. I mean, I knew as soon as we got the call at 4 in the morning, and Kay said that Michelle, his former wife, was on the phone. I knew it had to be that Jim was dead. There's, why else would she call at that time? So I know many of you out there have lost a loved one in death. And if you have, and you don't really have any hope to see them again in your mind in the future, I might suggest take it, if you've never studied the Bible, not just read it, but actually studied the Bible, what's it going to hurt? Why not do it? Go ahead. Just, if you don't like it, then you don't do it anymore. But you got to go ahead and study it, not with the intention of just based on emotions, like, oh, I love the Lord, praise the Lord, all this stuff. No, not that kind of thing. Not that you can't say that, but have it based on fact from the Bible. And obviously loves and emotions, so that's in there too. But have it based on fact. Have real faith, not credulity, not blind faith. Matter of fact, I think it's in, let me think, I'm terrible at remembering scriptures. I think it's a Hebrews 11:1. It gives a definition of faith. It's something like faith is the assured expectation of things hoped for, more or less the evident demonstration of realities, though not perceived. So, in other words, you've studied, you're positive from things that happened in the past, that things you're hoping for in the future will take place because God has promised them. You're positive because of evident demonstration of what is historically happened in the past. So, anyway, give it a shot. Believe me, it'll give you a good outlook on the future instead of all the grim, dismal future that this world is giving us here. Grim and dismal, here I am back on the freeway and it's getting ready to stop again. So I don't know if I'll ever get there. Somebody that's a regular up at East Fork last night posted on Facebook, hey, where have I been, Larry? Where have you been, Larry? Haven't seen you up at East Fork for a while. And then somebody posted, oh, he's been metal detecting. But that's not the real reason. I like going and looking for gold more than I like metal detecting or coin shooting, But I had another problem. Like, my wife's been really sick for over 2 months, 2 or 3 months now. They can't figure out what's wrong with her, and she just coughs 24 hours a day. So I've been going places close by, and the metal detecting is 2 miles from where I live, so I'm close by in case something happens. I did go the other day. I did go to Nevada, but it had to be like a whirlwind trip. I actually drove, 560 miles in that one day and prospected for a few hours, so it was a long day. But I got back the same day, and I had most of the time in telephone communication with her. And that's primarily why I haven't been going anywhere, the East Fork or any place. I've been trying to stay fairly close to be able to help her out if something happens. She wants me to go to these places. Oh, go ahead, but most of the time I just think, well, she might need some help and I could just rush home real quick, help her out, type of thing. So, but I think she's happy I'm going today. She knows I need to do something. Again, I might just go up there and just wander around, take pictures of people or nobody, or just the trail. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll gold pan for a few minutes, dig a little. if I actually ever get there. As you can see, it's not working out too well. Usually when I'm going to go somewhere, I leave like, 4 in the morning or something. So I just kind of decided this at the last minute that I needed to go. I was thinking of heading in a different direction to up above Hemet, Batista Canyon. It's a claim up there I've never been to. I talked to the claims guy at the GPAA the other day, and he seemed to think you can find gold there, but it's really not easy. So I thought I'd go up there, but I'd rather go up there with my brothers. It'd be something all of us could do it new for the first time. So maybe we'll go up there. Maybe if they want to go up there later this week, we will. I don't know if they're in the mood, if they feel like doing anything with all that's happened. We'll see. Give us a chance to talk about Jim, I guess, if we do. Tell, stories we all remember. Randy put a touching one, his feelings on Facebook. I just put like a sentence. I'm not, even though I make these videos and all that, I'm not the big Facebook guy. I guess because I'm older, I'd rather just talk to somebody on the phone or something. So, but my wife said, well, you should say something. So I just made a line or two because I just wasn't in the mood. I'd been on the phone talking all day about this thing. And so then later, as the day went on, I saw different people were expressing their feelings. I went ahead and said quite a bit, kind of like I'm doing today. One thing that happens when a loved one dies, it makes you think about your own mortality. I guess, like I said, I thought I was probably going to be dead a few years ago. Now here, somehow I'm still here and Jim's not. There's a scripture that says something about better to go to the house of mourning than to a banquet. So I don't know if that's exactly right, but that's close to it. And more or less it means when you go, somebody dies, you think about your life. You think about your own life. How am I using it? Am I, wasting it? Am I serving the Creator and, caring for my fellow man, stuff like that? Makes you kind of think about those things. Now, you may forget it the next day, but, who knows? It may have a profound effect on you. It's making me think. I noticed quite a few people that we and Jim worked with over the years painting different facilities, posted on Facebook saying they were sorry for our loss and that. And, Jim was, I think all of us were, but Jim was really respected at these places. The Engleharts were known to be hard workers. Now, maybe somebody else might have better skills than us and that, but the bosses knew they could leave us alone and we wouldn't go hide somewhere and not work. We would do our job, we'd get it done. Then the workers, I think maybe why they respected us, they didn't always agree with our beliefs and everything, but they respected us because they knew we wouldn't stab them in the back when it was getting close to layoffs or something. They're going to choose just going to stay. They knew we wouldn't sacrifice them so we could stay. We just do our job, try to keep to ourselves and try to be pleasant with everybody. So I think that's what they liked about Jim. Where I could see many times some of these guys that are good buddies would stab them in the back to keep the job, and we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't and we wouldn't be a rat and all that, go run into the boss every time somebody did something wrong. So maybe that's why they respected us. They knew, even though maybe we had different philosophies in life than they did many times, but I think they knew they could trust us, especially Jim. So, and we appreciate that. Oh, this is a beautiful day. I think this is one of the warmest days we've had for a while. I think it's supposed to be in the mid-70s maybe. So that's nice. I know Steve and Randy we had talked about going up here when it got warmer. I hope they understand why I went by myself. Maybe they didn't feel like going anywhere anyway. I just needed to be by myself to get all this stuff out of me. Sorry for you that have to listen to all this, but I guess if you get tired of it, you'll just, like I say, just turn it off. You probably have already. Yeah, here's my family lineup. My parents had 8 kids, 5 boys, 3 girls. See, I'm the oldest, the closest to the grave, I always say. So, okay, so I'm the first. Next was, I have I have a sister named Darlene. And then after her was my sister Shirley. Then came Steve. Then came, let's see, Randy. And we've got, then we've got Jim and Christine, my sister Christine. And then we've got at the tail end, hopefully I got everybody here. We got Rob. So like I say, 3 girls and 5 boys. My mom was an only child, and she said, I'm not going to have that for my family. And obviously, she went exactly in the opposite direction on that deal. I have 4 kids myself, so I've got a boy, Josh, another boy, Alex, and 2 daughters, Emily and Hillary. Yeah, I guess the reason they stopped us, they had a little landslide back there, so they're trying to get it out of the way. They actually had a few, I don't know if it has to do with it, they've had a few earthquakes up this way lately. Not real big ones, but big enough to be on the news. So kind of shaking stuff loose. This El Nino in California is supposed to save the day. It's supposed to start in January and go through March. So far, we've only had one good rainstorm that helped. But obviously, we're going to need a whole lot more. So maybe February will be the month. Of course, we're all hoping that these El Nino storms will pack a big enough punch to actually move boulders down the river. When that happens, then you're moving gold, and you get what you call flood gold. So we haven't had that for quite some time, so what we're all getting is just traces of what was left over from the last El Nino, pretty much. Once in a while you'll find an old channel up on a hillside. You determine that's where the river used to be, and you'll dig into that and find some old gold. But most of it's just, flood gold. I think our best time out here, I was with my brothers, and all of us got over 4 grams apiece one day. Yeah, let's see. A few vehicles, not too many. Oh, looks like Robert Ferguson's up here somewhere. He's been going back a ways to buy gold from. Well, I'll use Robert Ferguson's famous line. Well, I'm back here again. So how you doing, Robert? I probably won't see you because you're probably way up there somewhere, and I got a very, very late start here. Jim loved the outdoors, and so I'm outdoors today. This is a tribute to Jim. Made it down to the river. Beautiful day. Doesn't get much better than this. Always like the sound of water. Real peaceful. This is the way it was meant to be, instead of the sound of the stupid city. Okay, there's the Aurora Sluice. It's set up pretty good. You want the head of it here, the water about halfway up, and the other end you want it all the way under the water. I think I have a little off angle on it, but it's not, I don't know, just making the V and all that, so it's pretty good. I'm not going to show, I might show a little digging and that, but I'll just mostly show if I find something, since I'm kind of basing this on a tribute to Jim. No use watching me dig over and over and put dirt in it. I'll show you a little bit of that, because Jim liked to do that too. Yeah, right here's the area where I was finding pockets before. There was like a little rust line, and that's usually a good indication that, you know, means iron and gold and iron travel together. But I don't see a rust line offhand, so I'm going to dig here and there, see what I come up with. Well, that took care of that problem. So I'm sitting here, I'm hearing all kinds of boulders falling down in that hole, so I think I unleashed a monster. So there's my concentrates for the day. Let's see if we got any gold. Well, here's what I got. Jim would have enjoyed this, I'm sure. He liked to find gold too. Then in the end, it's like Tom Massey says all the time, it's the memories, not the gold. You know, you stick that little bottle, put it on the shelf or sell it or something, but who you were with and the fun you had. And if you ask me how much dirt I ran, I don't know. I wasn't really keeping track. Well, as you can see, my whole hole caved in. It's good I wasn't under it when it did. So much for that hole. But there's what I got. Taking a little breather from going up this hill here. I was thinking, I remembered one of Jim's favorite movies was Napoleon Dynamite. And I remember he was all excited. Kay and myself went to, I think it was like the first showing. And somehow I had found out that if you stay all the way to the end of the credits, there was an alternate ending. And so, you know, we were there, everybody else in the whole theater left except for us. I started thinking, why are these people sitting here? And then I remember I told Jim about it. He was all excited. So I don't know how many times he saw that movie. Well, I see Ferguson's still here. So, Ferguson, Robert, I guess I'll see you in your video tonight if you get it up. See what you got. All right, beautiful view up there. Just gave some kid a ride down to here from up there at the bridge. He was all loaded with a backpack and you name it, loaded down. So I guess he's trying to hike all over these hills and go everywhere. He had some interesting stories to tell. And I told him a little about my brother. I guess I couldn't help it. Well, my next stop will be at the bottom at the post office. I got to mail a package. After that, I was thinking, where would Jim want to go? I know exactly where he'd want to go. To the In-N-Out Burger. Jim loved to eat, and he loved In-N-Out burgers. So, and I like them too. I don't think I like them as much as Jim liked them, but so I'll make a stop there. One thing that was kind of funny about Jim, he had kind of a, I don't know what you call his speech, kind of a clipped, real fast speech. And it was very hard for me to understand. I had to ask him things 2 or 3 times. And I think he thought I was hard of hearing, which I am now, but I didn't used to be. So I'd have to just ask him, well, what was I didn't quite hear you, Jim. But what's funny, my younger sister, Christine, she can understand everything he says. And so that's one thing I kind of regret. I was going to actually call. I hadn't talked to him in a long, long time, and I was going to call him the other day. I sent him a little note on Facebook, and my wife said, well, you got to call him. And I said, well, my problem is when I call him, I can't understand what he's saying. It's even worse over the phone. And so I didn't. Now, of course, you know, I regret it. Oh well. I'll make up for it when he comes back, hopefully. Looking at the snow back there a minute ago kind of reminded me of another thing about Jim. He liked, I don't know how many times he actually skied. I've never skied, so I was never with him. Like I say, I'm not very good at sports of any kind. But he was always talking about it. Now, I'll try to imitate him. I can't imitate him too good, but he'd say stuff like, the powder, it was excellent. I can't wait to get up there again. You're at work, all you're thinking about is getting up to that powder. Something like that. So he was a character. Well, all of a sudden, I'm in the drive-thru. This lady came up and put this post in front of me. I don't know what that's supposed to be now. Anyway, we'll find out. I was thinking too, Jim, I remember years ago, you know, they just have a real simple menu, double, you know, cheeseburger. And but he knew about all these weird ones that aren't on the menu before anybody I knew. All these, you know, the monster, it would go on and on. He knew all these different ones that you could order that weren't on the menu. So he was ahead of his time on that. I'm just getting a simple one, the double, lettuce and tomato cheeseburger, and fries and an extra large pink lemonade. Thinking of something else, I remember another time when Jim was all excited. We went to see Mumford and Sons. This is before they were really, you know, really big. And we were up in seats in the balcony, and right next to us there was like a sort of like a booth where they had a table. And I guess I'm not big on knowing movie stars, but Jim seems to always know everybody. And some guy, I can't think of his name, a name like Jake Gyllenhaal or something like that. He kind of looked like the guy that played Spider-Man, but I think it was somebody else. Jim was all excited because he was sitting right next to us there in this booth. And then Marcus Mumford came up, said hi to him, and was talking to an older woman. I don't know who she was. Anyway, I remember Jim was really excited about it. Over the years, we were able to get you know, different autographs from a lot of big rock stars and all that. I got my guitar signed by tons of people. But I you know, and Jim always got excited about that. He got, you know, U2 to sign his ticket stub. But I think, and normally we'd end up somehow talking to these guys a lot of times. And I think the reason was we just treated them like just everyday people. You know, not like they were our idols. They had their poster up. You know, we even told him one time, we said, yeah, you guys are sort of like plumbers to us. We could have the best plumber in the world, but we're not going to try to look like him and put up a poster. We just appreciate the good work he does. I think we told that to a couple of the guys in U2, and they got a kick out of that. So. Yeah, this is just what I needed today. Not this traffic, but just remembering these things about Jim. Feel a lot better now, a whole lot better.